For February, Bay Area Bountiful celebrates Black History Month with local leaders who are making history.
Working this way and working with one's body and tending the land.
Wool is magic. As far as I'm concerned, wool gets more magic the more I learn about it.
Eating good food, I learned early on, makes people happy. I think I'm on a quest to make as many people happy as possible.
Our youth really care about the climate crisis.
Kelp forests are some of the most productive marine ecosystems on the planet.
I want this to be what I leave behind. I want this to be the mark that I make on the world.
Bay Area Bountiful is made possible in part by Rocky the free-range chicken and Rosie the original organic chicken. The Sonoma County Agricultural Preservation and Open Space District, Made Local Magazine and Sonoma County Go Local, and through the generous support of Sonoma Water. Cultivate, celebrate, connect.
Cascade Ranch is a 418-acre farm just north of the Pie Ranch in the ancestral homeland of the Ama Mutsun tribal band. Under the leadership of Leonard Diggs, the Cascade Regenerator Program plans to create a regenerative landscape where a multiracial group of farmers, ranchers, and land stewards will have access to the resources needed to help feed communities throughout the Bay Area.
This is the home of the Ama Mutsun tribe, and they inhabited this zone from here all the way through up to Santa Cruz, and they still have a strong relationship with the land here. We also have a relationship with them. As part of Pie Ranch, we've had a memorandum of understanding with them for a long time. They've been working on projects at Home Pie. And here, their main foods before first contact were grasses. All the trees in the coastal mountain zones that we have here were not as well established when they were here before first contact, and there was just a grass plains that went all the way down to the ocean. So we're helping support them with that on this property. So we have leased this property with the intention of starting a regenerator program. And so we're trying to pull together a full offering of support for next-gen farmers and ranchers, and also to provide a more diverse group of people access to land. So women, number one, 50% of the people we want on our program will be women. And then people of color and indigenous people, I already explained the relationship that we have with the local tribe that's here. That's a really strong and important relationship that we'll maintain. But all people who have not had access to agricultural land for whatever reason, either because they were disenfranchised or because they just never had it as part of their current culture. I think lots of us grew up in agricultural communities hundreds of years ago, but we've been all pulled apart from those a bit. And for some people that still resonates, and they want to go out and be a part of a food system and specifically grow food, raise animals, and we want to help support that group of people. So it's not enough, as I said, to just provide them land and provide them equipment. What really is needed is to help next-gen farms take care of all of the things that they're going to need to take care of for their community. So we know that climate instability is where we are right now, and that having a system that's climate sensitive, climate friendly farming system is really essential. So many farmers have not established climate-friendly farming practices. They've established organic practices, regenerative practices, permacultural practices, and embedded in some of those are practices that are positive for the climate, but not necessarily dead focused on that. So as part of our goals here, we want to make sure that the farming practices get us towards carbon neutral or carbon negative practices. And there are different tools like minimum tillage tools that are out there that we can help introduce them to, and we can also provide them access to. So that's part of the package that we're putting together. So we'd like to shift who has access, who has the ability, the privilege to be able to farm, and shift the power dynamics so that there are people who are in leadership roles and are initiating systems and food systems that are relevant to them in our farming communities, and not have it be as it has been for the last 200 years, where we haven't had a diverse group of people being able to have leadership over the agricultural system and access to the agricultural system, and who are able to profit from it, be able to grow a business from it and grow a lifestyle from it. The tricky part for me, though, in that is I started out by centering on the fact that we've got to farm differently. We've got to farm in a way that's more environmentally sensitive. We've really got to stay focused on the issues around biological diversity. And I don't think that unless that is connected simultaneously with the diverse group of people getting involved in that type of a farming system, so that the diversity of the farming system, of the people involved, and the sustainability of the system go hand in hand. If we have a diverse group of people farming conventionally in the way that we've been farming our lands here for the last 100 years, it's not going to be sufficient. So we've got to be able to create an incentive for this new group of people to farm differently, to take responsibility for some of the environmental issues that have been ignored for the last generation of farming.
We meet Mac McDonald in his family garden in Windsor. The son of a moonshiner, Mac was first introduced to wine at the age of 12. At that young age, he had a vision of becoming a winemaker and has helped a new generation of African American winemakers to envision their own futures in the industry.
I was sitting there one day and I came home and I said to Miss Lil, I said, you know what, honey? I don't ever see any black people in my wine dinners. And I said, that kind of bothered me a little bit. She goes, think about it. When have you, where have you been all this time? She says. I said, I guess I never thought about it, in that sense, but some reason did. So I thought, you know what? There's a few folks that I know that's in the wine business. Maybe we ought to get together and share our experience, because I had been in it longer than them, these other two guys, and I could talk to them about some of the things that I was successful at and some that I wasn't. And I could share that with them and, make them more profitable. Because I think that it's hard for African Americans to get into a lot of business because of the word is used, capital. I don't use that word, I call it money, because if I got money, I can buy stuff, you know what I mean? And so if I could get us together and talk about that, then we all could do a lot better. And that was the basic of forming of the association. Take a look at AAAV's, 3 A's, Vintners, VINTNERS.org, and you can see all the members, you can see how to apply for a scholarship through the association. They partnered with Napa Valley College and Negro College Fund. And then there's another scholarship that's being set up, another one. So it's 3 different ways that you can get into that, if I'm keeping up with it all right. They may have changed some of it, but there's 3 different ways to do that. Just go to that website, give them a call or email, and if you're interested in doing something like that, they'll tell you how to do it. I love gardening. Gardening is something, by the way, that I use as a tool because I was trying to get more people who look like me to understand growing their own food and growing grapes in the wine business. And so a lot of the folks that I ran across in the inner cities, they didn't want their kids to be learning about wine at an early age. So I thought, what can I do this? So I came up with this wheelbarrow concept. I tried it on our granddaughters first, and they'd come over, and I'd have them to paint the wheelbarrows different colors, you know, and stuff like that. But I give them all a paintbrush, and then we would put dirt in it and plant certain type of vegetables. And the reason I like that wheelbarrow concept is because you can go to the dump or wherever they call them nowadays, and you can pick up an old wheelbarrow for $3 or $4 and get some soil and put in it. You can grow a lot of stuff in a wheelbarrow. You can rotate and grow a lot of stuff. And then I can go to inner cities and have inner city kids to grow a lot of food right in their backyard or whatever they have one. They don't take that much space. Rotate your crops. Because, you know, you do that a lot in farming. You know, you have to rotate your crop. You know, you just put it in there. Like, I have a row of radishes out here. And it's just amazing how many those things grow out of a package. You can't keep up with them, you know? Or I have white turnips out there, you know, and it's just amazing how many you get out of a $2 package of those white turnips. So as far as the mentoring of the folks in the wine business, yes, there's been a lot of folks call me and talk to me, high profile. Some of them didn't know nothing about wine, didn't know anything about what grapes. And I'd be on the phone with, and still on the phone with people for hours trying to explain to them what they need to do to get started and how to look at it. Some have kind of listened. Theophilus, you know, Theodore Lee, she's an attorney. She's doing really, really well, you know. She's doing really, really well with her wine, you know.
Mac is one of my mentors in this business. So Mac has been a longtime mentor. In fact, I got involved with the Association of African American Vintners because of Mac McDonald and worked with him and helped brainstorm of what the organization could be. He is an incredible winemaker and an incredible person. He and Miss Lil, I've had dinner at their house. They've come to my parties. I have a harvest and bottle release party every year except for 2020. We did not have it. But the first year, Mac poured wine at my harvest and bottle release party right next to me. So he and Tom, who were my winemakers at the time, we had over 200 people. It was fantastic. So we're hoping that in 2021, we can return to our harvest and bottle release party that we hold in September during harvest. I grew up in Dallas. My parents were educators. My father was a male chauvinist pig, but he had one daughter and one child, and that was me. And so I wanted to ride horses back in the 70s. Little girls didn't throw their legs up on top of a horse and ride. So when I would go to my grandparents' house, they would let the boy cousins ride, and my father said, "One day I will buy you your own horse, and you don't have to cry." And so about the age of 6 or 7, he bought his first 10 acres of land outside of Dallas. He bought himself a thoroughbred and me a quarter horse who's named Ginger. I learned to ride a horse. In the process of farming, I learned to drive on a tractor at the age of 8. So farming was in my blood. My grandfather was a sharecropper. My father was a weekend farmer. And when I moved to San Francisco to practice law, I had the opportunity to have a mentor who actually owned a vineyard up in Hillsburg, Barbara and Pierre Diodoni. They're still my mentors. And I would drive briefs to their weekend home. And I said, wow, I can really be a grape farmer. Little did I know how expensive land was in California. So that dream was built back in the 80s, but it wasn't until 2001 that I was able to buy 20 acres of land in the Yorkville Highlands, Anderson Valley, Mendocino County. I know what I don't know, but I know good wine when I taste it. And so I have to trust my winemakers or my consulting winemakers, because I'm involved in every aspect. I am involved in barrel selection. And as I've said, great wine starts right here in the vineyard. You cannot have great wine without great grapes. You can't take a bad grape and make a great wine. You have to actually farm to make quality fruit in order to make quality wine. And I'm all about quality.
In 2020, Brianna Noble founded Humble, an Oakland-based equine program dedicated to positively impacting youth from disenfranchised communities. Through enriching learning experiences, Humble uses horses as a medium to inspire bright futures.
I've always worked with children, probably since I was about 14 years old. So I always work and ride, and any opportunity I got to work with other organizations as I was younger, you know, because there's definitely been, throughout the years, a few organizations that have popped up to try to help the inner city kids around here and get them introduced with horses. They generally don't stand around too long, but I've had my foot into a lot of them that have come up through the Bay Area, and I've always really deeply enjoyed the work that I did with them. You know, I worked for the city of Oakland, and I taught for their horsemanship day camps that they had in Oakland years ago, and just any opportunity I could work with kids. But the problem, hi, Mayor. The problem sort of became, as these organizations would rise and fall, that, you know, the need is still there. I still want to do the work, you know, but the organizations would disappear. So I just started to do it on my own from there. And that's really how Humble began, is technically I really just got on paper established last year, but Humble has been something that I've worked on for probably the past 5 years. So it really began as something where I would teach for-profit summer camps for the kids, and then just out of my own pocket, you know, at the end of the summer, I would bring in an organization from the Bay Area and just say, hey, you know, let's get a group of 10 kids out, and they can come for free and experience what the other kids get to experience. And so I would just do that as I can, and I'm so happy that it's become more than that now. There are horsemen all over the country, and I'm not a really well-traveled equestrian at this point, so I want to make it clear that I'm just speaking to my little area here in Northern California that I've experienced. But there are not very many people that look like me at all. I think all of us know each other. There's very few of us here. So a lot of times I like to tell people it feels like being a white rose in a field of yellow daisies. And sometimes the attention that you get is simply because I'm a white rose. I stand out, you know, I look a little bit different than everyone else. And it's not necessarily a negative thing, but sometimes, a lot of times it is a very negative thing, you know. So it can be hard just always looking different, and then it can be hard to face some of the blatant racism that you do, because a lot of it can be blatant, you know, or even just like, we're facing hardships here on this property, you know, where we're really looking for a place to call home. And, you know, these people that are white and that do have money don't necessarily like to see us and these families around. You know, they feel threatened by us. So, you know, I've had an instance around here at this facility where we had a complaint to management because a family, a father, a mother, and 4 kids and a dog parked in front of a barn that we had permission to, and one of the owners of a horse in that barn felt threatened. And the excuse that I got when we were told that, yes, this person feels threatened, is because, well, they've had things stolen before. So seeing the Brown family parked around their stuff, even though we have a children's riding program that serves predominantly people of color and you know, youth of that matter, still they felt threatened enough to call management on us and complain, you know. So we definitely, it will feel really good to have a space of our own where we aren't bothering people simply because of the color of our skin. Good girl. Having a home for us is going to allow us to dig those roots down in the ground and make sure that this is a program that is here for the next 50 years.
Food insecurity impacts many local families, a crisis that has only gotten worse during the pandemic. The Sonoma County Black Forum has pivoted to address this pressing issue, partnering with other nonprofit organizations, small businesses, and individual volunteers in our community.
Today we are out here gleaning in the Healdsburg Plaza. This food that we're picking today will be going to the Sonoma County Black Forum. They're a nonprofit in the county that feeds families. Farm to Pantry was founded in 2008, and I joined the board in 2015. I was originally born in Mexico. I came over to the States when I was 7 years old. My family has been in Sonoma County for 30 plus years. My uncles, my grandfather, my dad, they're all local farm workers. And so in that way, I've always seen organizations as the receiver. And now that I'm on the other side where I can actually help provide these services to people in my community, people who look like me, it's very humbling just because I can see my family in every single recipient.
We could not do our food distribution or our youth summit without the support of farm to pantry, without the support of community foundations, Sonoma County Vintners, Butts, Custom Meat, Napa Sonoma League, Oliver's. I also want to recognize the small donors that we have from the community, anywhere from $5 to $25. So we receive support from our sponsors, but also from the community, which we are so grateful for.
Traditionally, what we do is we have a youth summit every year, and we have other community engagement events. And so what we did was shift this year. We wanted to continue to support our community, and so we put out a survey to ask the community, what do you need right now? And two of the largest responses was money for rent, and food, and like the third one was mental health support. So what we're trying to do is, again, connect our community members with information about various therapists who are there to support them. We offer that at our meetings. We have a list of therapists of color. We also, again, the food drive is there to meet that need for food, the food insecurity that's going on right now because of COVID. We are not able to address the monetary aspect, but what we decided we could do was the food. Being in Sonoma County, we are in an agricultural county. We thought we'd be able to reach out to community members, and they did respond, and they are giving us the donations we need to provide healthy, organic, and rich foods to our members.
In addition to our food distribution, we're going to have an urban gardening series. It's going to be spearheaded by another board member, Claudia de la Pena, and she's going to try to instruct the community with those who have very little experience with growing their own food, because we feel that this is the time that we have to be independent in terms of where our food comes from and showing people how to do just that.
The first class will be container gardening. So we're going to talk about growing some food in containers and what that looks like and what that will take. We'll talk about soil, we'll talk about watering, what you can successfully grow in containers, and you can grow most anything and almost anything. But the idea is just to get people interested in growing their own food. When we saw the amount of people that were showing up at the food distributions, we kind of thought maybe these are some of the people that we could speak to and teach them how to grow some of their own food. If you can grow your own salad, then you're doing a lot.
Petaluma Blacks for Community Development share Black history and culture within our community through various programs and events throughout the year. This month, their Celebrating Family exhibit can be experienced all over downtown Petaluma.
Our main goal is to share Black history and culture with the community. So this year, because of the pandemic that is happening now, we knew that we were not going to be able to go into the museum to do our exhibit. Plus, we had a lot of killings that were caught on video, and thus a lot of protest afterwards. And so we felt that it was really important for us to include the community in our exhibit for 2021. The theme is the family. We decided to make ours celebrating family and letting it be about celebrating family completely in Petaluma. And so I was talking to another lady, Paige Green, who happens to be a photographer. And Paige said that she would love to take the pictures. And she was thinking at first just Black families. And I said, no, It would need to be the community. This is a way we can help to bring our community together. We decided that 2021 and 2020 was not going to break us. We were going to continue to do what we normally do. So our storefront exhibit and now our Black History program, which will be on the 27th at 6:30. It is virtual, but you do have to register in order to participate. So you will need to go onto our website.
I got contacted by a young lady who said that they were doing family photos and, would I like to be part of it? And so I said, yeah, sure, why not? Let's take the picture, let's do it. And she said, yeah, you can have your family, and my wife and son were there, and we did that. And that was that. And I just, in last week, when the picture went up, I had no idea what the picture was. And then I get a text message from a friend, Alethea, who works at Della, and say, hey, check this out. And then she took a snap, and I was like, oh, that's our picture. It's like, oh, where is this? And she's like, it's at Della. It's like, oh, you don't have no idea how it warmed my heart. And so, again, it goes all back to why, I love Petaluma.
Black History Month is a relatively new construct in America. But as we have witnessed, it is a reminder that there is work required of all of us to recognize that Black history is American history. This truth should be honored every month as we explore our shared American history together.